In the medicine world, there's nothing as important as the correct diagnosis of the issue or the problem or the disease. At this stage, our biggest problem is most of us do not know the problems that we suffer as a country. Oh, sorry. Most of us do not know the problems that we suffer as a country. And I want to point out just a few issues that we are having as a country. We realized that in our education sector, we were losing something. It had become so competitive to the extent that the school principals will collude with some of the guys in NEC to buy exams, to steal the exams and to give them to students so that they will score so many A's just to get A's for the value of it. But that watered down the quality of our education. So what did our current president do? He came up with a team of experts to find out what exactly the nation as a whole could do to solve this issue. Education is so important, my guys. Those of you who've gone to colleges will realize that most of our universities, you would have a lecture using the same notes they used 10 years ago to teach students in the faculties that are supposed to compete with other students from other parts of the world in the same course. We lose out on that. Another thing is, when we had an issue with NHIF, you knew the limitations that NHIF presented. Not all the citizens were covered, and a lot of us were not working. So the president, in his wisdom and consulting with other guys within his leadership, came up with SHAFE. It has not worked, let's be honest, it has not worked yet. But the principles, the policy behind it, if you're somebody who's keen enough to read, are good. Why hasn't it worked? You might ask that. There are two things that drive a country. You need funding, you need money to be able to fund every policy that you're talking about. There are two ways of getting funds. You either increase the taxation or you borrow. The other day, when President Ruto came up with a very, very well-drafted finance bill, the people came against it and we threw it out. And as a listening president, he accepted that. So where do you guys expect our president to get the money to fund the promises that he's been talking about? For you to fund promises, you need money. For you to get money, you either increase taxes or borrow. The biggest problem that we have as a country right now is the debt factor. The debt factor. The global financial institutions know this very well, and you are burdened by debt. So he who pays the piper calls the shots. So we have to pay the debts. How do we pay the debts? If we do not take ourselves away from this debt embargo that we are in as a country, we are going to be in circles with all our problems. Why? Because every money that we get, they'll be calling shots on this because we have their money, we have to pay. So one of the things that President Ruto wanted to do is to make sure that we get as much money as possible to do away with this international debt. Because without the international debt, then we will have our own internal resources to begin to plan on how to invest them on important areas like the studies you guys were talking about. Without money, we can talk as for as many international studies as you want, but we will not move on. Let me talk about AU a little. For those of you who are married, even in your houses, you have problems. Okay? And if the husband position was left to elections in any house, I can assure you the women will be winning it every year round, because not even your kids will support you as a husband. But God saw into it the wisdom that the husband is not an elective position. So you remain an husband whatever you do. The same thing with AU here. Somebody said that AU is a lame duck. No, it's not. When we talk about regional politics, okay, that's when people of significance in Africa get together and decide what we want to do as a people. Wouldn't you want one of our sons to sit down in the same committee and clear out the issues that we have as a nation? Obviously, the answer is yes. And if you're waiting for you to be called to line up to be able to vote for Raila in the AU, you will wait forever. It will never come. The presidents, in their own wisdom, know how to go through the elections. And you could see when he was launching his manifesto, the president that accompanied him. If you're still here thinking and praying that Raila will fail, you need to decide which God you are praying to. Because the one that we know already has it endorsed. Now, slightly, let me talk about global politics. I mentioned it a bit when I talked about the debts. There are issues beyond the control of President Dr. William Samoei Ruto. It is the world of politics. It's called the New World Order. When Bill Gates says a cow produces more toxic substances, than the total number of cars within a vicinity, there's a reason he says that. And the reason he says that is they have a global agenda, okay? Yes, that is a global agenda. And now I will ask you one thing, guys. Let's be honest with ourselves. Let's be honest. The world is much bigger than Kenya as a nation. The world players are much stronger in terms of the economic muscles than Kenya. What do you expect President Ruto as one president to do to counter the entire New World Order that has been... No, wait. I will give you your time to come. Yes. You will come here. The same uhuru, see, the same uhuru that you are saying rejected the New World Order is that I do not want to talk ill of somebody who's already retired. I mean, God save him. The world order is bigger than President Samoei Ruto, and there are things he cannot go. What Ruto can do for this country is to bring out the new policies like the SHIF, like the new funding model. Most of you guys will say the new funding model is not working well. But if you look at it globally, the cost of producing a graduate has increased exponentially. More so if you want somebody who is an all-round graduate, not the one taught by lecture notes of a professor that last checked his notes 15 years ago. And he's still trying to use that to produce a graduate that is going to compete globally. We are a global village. We're not just having graduates that are going to compete within Africa itself or Kenya itself. We want a graduate that is going to compete within internationally. And they're going to, like this guy who came up with a very good M-Pesa innovation. If you can have more of that. And that's the reason why, no matter how selfish you are, if you look at the CBC and the way it's structured, you can see those kids starting to do innovative things that 844 as structured was not doing. 844 was based on cramming. CBC is based on innovation. You can see your own kids trying to do things that you could never even have imagined yourself. So let's give credit where it's due. President Ruto has brought us some very good new policies. And to wind up on my short speech is this. Guys, it is time we sat down as a people and thought about solutions to our problems. We can change personalities forever and presidents forever. But if we do not sit down and know where the problems are, where the shoe pinches, if you don't as a people say that, well, enough is enough about changing people, like they did in the America, come out with the structures and policies in place so that you do not care. Somebody said that atujali kama ni mbwa atakuwa. When you put the right policies and structures in place, even a dog will be a very good president. Support the current president in enlisting the right procedures and policies. Put them in place. You can help him by telling them, knowing how to fine-tune some of the policies that he's going to put in place. But standing here and saying that President Ruto will go home before 2032 is the wildest dream I ever had in this country. And if you are here, and I will tell you for free, whether you vote or not, and I can say this as a prophet, I'm not a prophet, but I can say this, take it to the bank. President Ruto will serve until 2032.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much for your insightful